The group by function in SQL is a way to aggregate data. Aggregation means combining multiple records into a single number. Now, you can identify opportunities to use group by when people say things like how many, how much, get the count, get the average, do these types of calculations where you're aggregating multiple things into one number. So let's do some quick examples, and I'll show you the syntax. So the syntax of group by is you do your select and then you group by. So it comes after where and it comes before order by. That's kind of where it falls in the order. Something you'll just figure out as you keep doing it. The way to use group by is you separate the columns you want to aggregate from the columns you want to use for aggregation, or just group by. So let's start with an example. So give me, and let's just start from English. Give me the count of patients in each city. So which one of these is the aggregation? So the count of patients is the aggregation, and the city is our group by column. So we're going to select city, and I usually prefer to have my group by cities or columns on the left side, and then all your metrics that you're aggregating either on the right side or on another line like this. So we're going to get count star, since this is all the rows or all the columns in every row, and since every row is a patient, we can just do count star in this particular table. So get the number of patients as so the count is patient count, and then the city is what we're grouping by, so we're going to group by city. Be a little careful on this database, because if I include another column here like gender and I don't do an aggregation, it's actually still going to work for some reason, but this is garbage and it shouldn't work. And you can see here like it doesn't make any sense. So it's like this city is Ajax, but it's just giving you like a female or a male. So I think it's using like the first value it finds and just putting it there instead of giving you an error, but it should give you an error. So just something to be aware of. If you select two columns here and they aren't being aggregated, then you must use them in your group by. So I have to group by gender. So just something to be aware of. Every other database will give you a big red error and it won't even return results, but this one will not work. Another fun trick is if you get tired of copying the column names, you can just use 1 and 2. And so you're just referencing the column number. So this is column 1, this is column 2. If gender was down here, you would group by 1 and 3. That's just like a easy, lazy analyst trick that you can use, but for sure start just by going through city, gender. And let's go back to Excel as an example of what we're doing here, because I think people are really pretty familiar with using pivot tables for aggregation. So here we've got all the data from the patients table, or some of the data from the patients table, and you can ask the same question. So how many people, how many patients in each city? So you create your pivot table, and then you select your city as your row, and then the count of some column. In SQL, we were doing the count of all the columns, but that's not an option here, so you just have to pick one column and then put that in values, and then get the count of patient IDs. So here we're doing the exact same thing, city, and then the group by, or the aggregation. And just like Excel, because here I can add, let's get the average height and the average weight. Just like Excel, you can throw on aggregations just as easily. So I can get the average weight as average weight and average height as average height. Ta-da! So we can do the exact same thing that we're doing in Excel here. The reason you're doing it in SQL is because it's going to be able to process millions of rows, and you're going to be able to combine the data really easily with other sets of data. So that's why you would keep it in SQL, or you're going to use it in a different, like, business intelligence tool like Metabase or Power BI. So that is the power and value of group by. Now, what if I wanted to go back to just city? Well, I would get rid of this gender column, and I would remove gender from my group by statement. And here again, it's just city, and then the same aggregation. So it's the same as going adding or taking away this in SQL, or sorry, excuse me, in Excel. So there you have it. That's the basics of using group by, and I hope you get some use out of it as you do the practice problems.